co-host with me for this session, the GATE session. And yes, obviously it's a GATE because we have the GATE speaker from the industry. As we always did it before, we try to take out the best expert session from the industry and to get the GATE expert from the industry. So with us right now, Shyamala. She is actually born and brought up here, but she is now the product owner of food company, and she is senior UX evangelist. So before I introduce many things of her, so I'll let her make a space to still introduce herself most. So thank you again. So everyone ready? I see many people are joining, and also today is the Ganesh Chaturthi here. So thanks for joining this session. And yeah, so let me welcome everyone. Get welcome Shyamala. Please in the morning. Thank you, Shyamala. And yeah, it's a great honor for us to you join with us. And thank. Now it's handed over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kailash and Biswajit. It's my pleasure, I would say, like interacting with interaction designers. I always enjoy doing that. So yeah, let me start my screen. So are you able to see?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So thank you so much. So yeah, my name is Shyamala Prayaga, and I lead the Ford's autonomous digital assistant effort involving both, voice tech and chatbots. So mostly, I'll talk about it more, but mostly, it's all about the voice assistants and voice interactions in the car, the now near strategy and stuffs like that. So things I love, I love spending time with my family a lot. Especially, given the kind of work I have, I hardly get time. So whenever I get, I try to, spend as much time with my son doing silly stuffs. We go for mom and son dance or other kind of things, just to make up. And in Michigan, it's mostly snowing, it's rainy, and the weather is not as sunny as it is today. So that is why, half of the time gardens die, but I'm a big fan of gardening. So I identified something called hydroponic gardening, which is like you can grow plants only with water. So I started doing that and I enjoy doing that. And I love participating in hackathons and all. And I also love petting animals. So this is a picture from, a hackathon where someone got their pet snake, and I was playing with the snake, and he's all over my laptop. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun doing all of these things. I was born and raised in a very small town called Jabalpur. I don't know if many people know about this place, but yeah, it's in Madhya Pradesh, a very small town. And I mean, back when I was there, it was very, very underdeveloped than any other part of the country. So the access to, most of the things was not there. And this is a beautiful picture from Bhedaghat, one of the tourist attraction of Jabalpur. So this was our only favorite time pass, where we used to go. Um, most of my schooling was, I mean, I was born and raised in Jabalpur. So most of my schooling and college, everything happened in Jabalpur. So I studied in St. Joseph Convent Senior Secondary School, which was a missionary school. I mean, I studied only till 10th, and that, like everyone else, my mother was forcing me to become an engineer, but my interest was always in design, right? So because of her force, I decided to join Polytechnic, and I was like, okay, whatever, I will just get an engineering degree for your sake. So I joined the Polytechnic Kalaniketan, which was affiliated with the Rajiv Gandhi Technical University in Bhopal. So I joined this college and then I completed my civil engineering. And then, of course, as a part of the percentile, if you get like higher percentage in your polytechnic, like above 70%, you automatically get engineering seats. So I got that, but then I decided that I wanted to, because by then I already got opportunities to start working. So I decided not to pursue my engineering anymore and decided to just get ahead with my polytechnic degree. That's it. So I keep joking that I'm 10th pass because I did not do 11th and 12th. So many people were like, okay. But then anyways, yeah. So, but anyways, I was able to navigate through all of the successes just from the small town where I was born and raised. So when I was working in Polytechnic, my sister was also, after her 12th, she joined Polytechnic. Again, family pressure. We both were forced to do engineering. So she decided to take computers. So when she used to do, she used to talk about artificial intelligence, and because her subject was computer engineering, so of course she used to talk about AI, she used to talk about all sorts of computer lingo, which kind of fascinated me. So I joined a company called Informatics Computer Education, and I started learning PGDCA there. So when I was learning PGDCA, I would help my co-students, if they were stuck somewhere with some technology aspect or something. So I was like helping them out. So the owner of the institute called me once and he asked me like, will you be interested to teach? And I was like, of course. I mean, that was a privilege for me when I was just 18. And, he found that maybe I have some skill sets and maybe, I can teach. So that's when I was like sure. So while I was learning, I was also taking classes for the other batches. So that way I was earning and learning both at the same time, and this was one of the reasons when I got opportunity to continue with my engineering. I was like, well, I'm already earning, I'm already learning the high technology things, C++, and I was already learning web development because this company taught me all of those things. And that is what caught my attention. So the moment I started doing web development with learning about web development, all of the kind of things started getting into my mind, that how are these websites designed, what is the technology behind these, how do someone design these things, what are the tools they use, and how all of these things work. So I started getting into the web development space more and more and more. And then after my course, luckily I was able to create a lot of websites by myself. And when I was doing that, I was also teaching, like I mentioned, the C++ programming. Plus, I kind of made a lot of programs in Fox Pro and all. So I was doing a lot of different kind of, programming and exploring myself and all of these things. So I did not really feel the need of, continuing with my further studies. And I was like, yeah, no, this works. So when I learned all of these things, then I got to work with a company called Vishwatech. Back then, it was a very small company and it was into web development and design. This was their office in Bhopal. So we moved to Bhopal with entire family. My dad got transferred. So because I already had web development experience and search engine optimization and all, I worked with this company for a couple of years. And at the same time, I was freelancing for other clients. So I was kind of just doing those kind of things, and I had a really strong grasp in web technologies and designing and the front end technologies, back end technologies, and all of those kind of things. So then I got married and then I moved to Hyderabad. And that's when my husband was very supportive, and I actually rejected a lot of matches because they found me way too ambitious as a woman, and they were like, well, we want a housewife. I'm like, go to hell. So because for me my career was always the passions, I was like, I'm sorry. So finally my now husband, his first condition was, I want a passionate woman who's passionate about career. So I was like, you are the perfect match for me. That's how it ended up. So then I moved to Hyderabad and I worked there for a small company. And since after that, I got an opportunity with AOL. Like while I was working, this was an interesting story. I was working with this small company, doing their search engine optimization and web development. And then someone called me saying, Amazon, I have an opportunity for you and will you be interested? So I was like, sure. And I just had one telephonic round with America Online. They were in RMZ Titanium in Bangalore back then. So I had one interview with them, and after that they were like, the recruiter was like, they want to talk to you, so will you be interested to come to Bangalore? So I was like, maybe there will be more subsequent interviews or stuff like that. So I was like, yes. And I still remember, they booked the flight for me and accommodation and all. Coming from a small town, very small town, that was the first time I actually took the flight. So that was like, I was so excited. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
flight, airport, and all of these things. And when I went to Bangalore, when I went to Bangalore,
That,
it was funny because, everything was so fascinating and it was high tech. I was amazed to see, like, okay, there is a world like this outside of my town. So, which was really nice. And, I was totally amazed with everything, the, accommodation they gave me and everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fascinating. And I was just taking pictures and I was like sending to my family, look at this, look at that. And then after that, I went to the AOL office, and I still remember, the receptionist asked me to wait, and then the hiring manager came, and we spoke, and he was like, I really liked your profile, and like it's excellent, and like he liked my approach and all of those things, and he was like, will you be interested to join us? So I was like, I would be more than happy to do that. He's like, give me like 10 minutes. I was like, okay. And in 10 minutes, I had the offer letter in hand. So I never expected that they would hand over an offer letter to me like that, because
great.
usually that's not how it works. But then I
Yeah.
had the offer in hand. So when I went back, I went with an offer. Now that was the biggest challenge for me because I was recently married, like only 4 or 5 months into marriage.
Mm.
And then it was a big decision. My husband used to work for ICICI Bank, and I got this up in Hyderabad, and I got this opportunity in Bangalore. So my father-in-law was very supportive. He was like, do what you think is right for you, okay? And then we will all support you. I was like, I want to move because I feel like this is a big opportunity. This is a great company, and back then AOL was a big brand, like Amazon now. But but then what happened was, um, it required some sacrifice. So I asked my husband, and he was like, you go ahead. I will join you. I will try to get a transfer or something. So I was in Bangalore for, like I moved to Bangalore with this company. They did the transfer and all. And my husband gradually came after some time, so he had to sacrifice his job in order to stay with me. So he left his job at ICICI Bank and came and supported me when I was in Bangalore. And then after that, he got another job in Thomson Reuters there. So I would say, like, not many people would do that, like sticking to their promise, but he did. So at AOL, I was working on great things. I got the opportunity to work on AOL, the website. Back in 2005, this is how it used to look like. And I also got to work on the AOL Music. So AOL Music was a website by itself, but they also launched a desktop application, which was Adobe Flex-based desktop application, where you can download it onto your phone, onto your laptop, and then listen to the music instead of going to the browser. So I worked on interaction design and development for both of those while at Amazon, so AOL. And then things were going fine, everything felt like good, but then the user-centered design process was missing. And I always used to question everything, like why there has to be so much information, or why there has to be this kind of thing. Back then, the websites were terrible. So those things really started frustrating me, and I was like, why don't we solve for it? And I was really like pushing, and I was like, how do we simplify things? And then I came to know about usability. Like I just searched something, and I found like there's something called usability engineering. When I read about it, it's like making things easier for people irrespective of age, ability, situation, or any kind of things. And I was like, yeah, this is interesting. And actually that is what I want to do, because back in the mind, like I've always had this design passion. although I was forced to do engineering. So then what I decided to do is, start learning more about UX and interaction design. So I started doing that, and I found a couple of articles online. I found there was a company, Nielsen Norman's company. There was HCI. They were providing some trainings back then, but that was way out of my budget. Their prices were super, super costly. And I did not feel the need of, having a piece of paper to prove my knowledge. And even I believe in that even now. So then what happened was, I just learned everything by myself, and I started pushing myself into the usability related things. So when I was designing the music app and the desktop application, music and the music app for AOL, I started thinking about how we can push for processes inside the company, like, user-centered design process. How do we push that? We need a persona, or we need to think about how users think, how users interact, and all of those kind of things. So I kind of started pushing for those kind of things with very less luck, because at that time companies were like, this is how Yahoo's website used to look, so AOL simply copied most of the things what Yahoo did. That was the mindset. But people did not really care about, no, we have to have a better experience. So I kind of did not get much success here at AOL to push for user experience as much. So, but then, I worked for some time. I felt like, okay, I'm done with this brand. Now I want to look for next opportunity in my life. And that's when I joined Mindtree. And again, Mindtree was one of the best companies to work for. Although it was a service-based company, like the values, the integrity the company had, I was able to resonate with this company a lot more. And then I kind of worked with Mindtree, and this is where, I got a lot of opportunities. So I was working on one client the whole time. I was working on a SaaS application, software as a service, for Intralinks, and I was designing their document management system. And because this was the client, I was a little successful to push user experience and interaction design with this company, because I told, like, why it is important and all of those things. At the same time, I was able to bring like-minded people like me who are into user experience, or who care for design, who care for users, and who care for, like, better interactions. And then I launched a group called User Centered Group, which was a very big official launch. We launched this group, and we used to have like a monthly cadence of meetings, like how we can set up the UX practice at Mindtree, and service-based companies would be open for those kind of things. So that's what I did. So until my time at Mindtree, I was very active with the UCD group. And that's when it struck me that, why only a user-centered group or UX group at Mindtree, or setting the practice only at Mindtree. And that is when LinkedIn also launched a website. So I was like, why don't I create a group on LinkedIn and bring like-minded people from whole world, and talk to them and learn from them? Because honestly, my learning was all through Google. I did not learn through a mentor or through a website or through a course or something. So then, I created the user experience group when I was at Mindtree, on LinkedIn, and now I think it has more than 300, 400,000 people in that group, and which is amazing, because that group is like my baby. So I'm very protective about it. I don't like any spams or anything in that group, but I just like people interacting and, learning or helping each other. And I've seen like that group has been super helpful for everyone. So then, the only problem with Mindtree was I was in Bangalore. My home was like in the one end of the city, and the office was in the other end. So my commute time one way was almost like 1.5 to 2 hours with Bangalore traffic then. And I was so frustrated, and it was taking toll on my health and, all of those things. So, I decided to move closer to my house, and then I quit Mindtree, and then I joined Yodlee. So this is when, Yodlee was a different company altogether, and this company was more on the product management and design side, and I really liked the culture, because Yodlee was more into UX and UI. They would follow some UX processes. They would do a lot more usability testing than any other companies I worked with. So I really got to work with great UX designers here, and work through the UX processes. And my learning evolved in this company. So I worked on this tool called Yodlee Money Center, which was a money management and like personal finance and budget management tool. So you can tie all of your bank accounts into one place, and then you can see how much you're spending and how much is you can manage your finances. Here you can see how much money do you have overall, because when you look at individually everything, it's okay, but when you put everything in one place, the perspective change, you would see like you are overspending maybe or things like that. So this was a really nice thing, and it was a nice concept and an interesting domain to work on, finance. So, we did a lot of usability testings and a lot of user-centered design in this company, and it was going fine with this company. Everything was great, and I was really enjoying. Then my father-in-law passed away in India, I mean in Hyderabad. And then we had a decision to make, like, okay, either I mean we moved to our city, big Hyderabad, because my mother-in-law was alone. So we decided to do that. So then I had to leave Yardley and then move to Hyderabad again. And again, this is when I got to work with Kony Solution. I still remember that again this company was similar to AOL. Like they interviewed me. It was a startup back when I started. It was a small company, I think 50 employees. So the CEO and the CTO both were talking to me, and then we just had like an hour worth of info, like interview. I had zero knowledge about mobile applications, and I knew nothing about that. So the first question, the CEO asked me was, okay, Shamla, how much experience do you have in mobile application design? I'm like, see, I have zero experience. I have never designed mobile applications, but I have designed SaaS-based applications. I have designed user experience design for, like I've done UX design for websites. So at least I know how the interfaces work. So how hard it could be to learn a mobile application design. That's what I told them. But honestly, I know nothing about mobile because back then I did not even have a smartphone. So I don't know what happened. They spoke, and then after like couple of like they asked me to wait outside, and couple of minutes, 10-15 minutes, they spoke something, and then they came back to me with an offer the same day. So that was second company where I was out with an offer in my hand. And then like I joined Kony. I moved to Hyderabad, and this is when I worked on a lot of different kind of oops, yeah, I worked on different kind of applications. So I worked on iOS, Android, BlackBerry, and Palm Pre. So what they did was they gave me all these four devices, and they were like, okay, go through these devices, learn the interactions, learn how the mobile apps work. And that company was a startup, so it also helped me think about all of the different things. So I looked through, all the different applications and platforms and how they work and how the interactions are different for Android versus BlackBerry versus iOS and Palm Pre. And then based off that, I used to design interactions. So I worked on Marriott application, I worked on Citibank's mobile application, Toyota, and then Southwest Airline. But then I also worked on a white labeling solution for banking and for hotels. So what that means is, we created out of the box, like application for mobile apps. So tomorrow, if Bank of America comes and says like, okay, we want a banking application, instead of designing that, we would just give this and we would white label it, and we were able to do high level of customization. So that way, Citibank or Bank of America, whoever is using our app, could customize it to their extent. So that's what we did for this application, and then also for the hotels. So because these were the two companies or two industries which were open to having a mobile app because they realized the value of mobile first. And throughout, I got an opportunity to interact with a lot of different clients and a lot of different industries outside of India. And by the way, I wouldn't say like this was my first interaction outside of India, because Yodlee was an American-based company, Mindtree was an American-based company. And when I was with Mindtree, I also got an opportunity to visit Boston through Intralinks. So that was my first visit to US. Again, the same excitement like I had when I, first took flight from Hyderabad to Bangalore. But then, yeah, but here, when I started interacting more, I felt like, there's a lot of cultural differences when it comes to different countries. There's a mindset difference. Like Citibank was very enterprise centric. So the biggest challenge I had with Citibank when I was working with them is I was pushing for a user-centered design process, and I was like, test your interactions. First, think who your customers are, and they were like, well, but HDFC already has an app. Just copy what they have. Our customers and their customers are the same, similar kind of customers. We don't have any difference. So it was very hard to break that mindset that although you serve the same industry doesn't mean your customers are the same. There is a reason why someone would go to Citibank versus Bank of America. There's a slight difference in terms of how they think, what their needs are. So it's not the same. But it was very difficult for me. I was able to navigate. One more problem I had was Southwest Airlines have a lot of litigations and those kind of things they can get into if things go wrong. So they have to tell the customers about terms and conditions. So, Citibank has like, not Citibank, sorry, Southwest, they have like 5 or 6 page worth of, terms and conditions, which they usually, put in their website. And of course, all of the automotive companies also do that nowadays because, they don't want to get into liabilities for anything. So they are like, keeping their base safe. So when we pushed to Southwest, like, okay, we need to have a mobile application, the VDM team said, and they were on board. The biggest challenge I had with Southwest working with them was they wanted that 5 page worth of terms and conditions on the mobile app. And I was like, people will not read, and it's very frustrating to scroll, and then click on terms and conditions. So initially they were not agreeing to. So then, I had to come up with some creative solutions for them. I was like, okay, let's have a terms and conditions, but let's open it in a browser or something instead of navigate disturbing their interactions. So finally we came to an agreement, something like that, creatively, being able to have the terms and conditions somewhere else and acknowledge it. So that way the interaction doesn't get like compromised. And then Toyota, I worked on Toyota shopping tool. So basically, if people, it's different versus here. I don't know. In India, it's very different how people purchase cars. When it comes to US, they have a completely different mindset. Most of the shopping they prefer doing online, and they would just go for test drive. So normally you would compare the cars and you would look at all of the different things first before you buy. You want to then see the color, the interior, exterior. You are able to customize and see how would a red color with black interiors look, and all of those kind of things with this app. So it was all good because these were great learnings and different interactions I worked on, which kind of challenged my interaction thinking, like how we can simplify things. And that's how I started getting more stronger in interaction design as well. Then I worked with Kony for some time and got frustrated at some point because I felt like I've learned enough, and I feel like now I'm not being challenged enough, and I wanted more challenge in my life. So I then joined Pramati Technologies, and uh, I mean, this again was a good company. I was a principal UX designer here, and I was leading their lot of things in terms of again the UX practice here, but also working on different platforms. So here the two major things I worked on was the insurance domain, and then they had a barcode scanner kind of thing. So like an application where you could have a repository of all the different products based on the barcode. So, for example, if you want to scan a barcode, you would get the information of that product completely like, okay, this is the product, this is where you can get it, and these are the stores which carry it, and blah, blah, blah. So those kind of things, I worked on that application system, which was like admin centered, user centered. So it has like all the different sides of it. So it was not just, the user interface for customers, but also for the admins, but also for, like the vendors to put their information. So it was like a lot of different spectrum to this product which I worked on. And insurance, I worked with a company called Gallagher Bassett as a part of who was a client. And again, this was another opportunity for me to visit US. and I came to Chicago through this company to understand, and I worked there for almost 6 months. And during my visit there, I was working very closely with the client to understand all the different kind of things, and the insurance. And this was not like a general insurance kind of thing. So this is where I learned, like, every time I was working with a company, I was not only learning how we can simplify interactions, I was also learning like there's so much more in the world than I know. So this company used to provide enterprise insurance. So what that means is all of the big companies need to buy liability insurances for themselves, right? So tomorrow if something happens, if there's a fire or some accident, or like the property gets damaged, or if employees sue their employee company for some reason, or customers sue them, any such thing can happen. So the company need to cover themselves, cover their bases. So insurances help them pay for these kind of things. That is the enterprise insurance, not like your health insurance or life insurance. So this is what I was working on, and I got to work with a lot of different enterprise to do research and understand different perspective from different companies. Why do they use insurances, and how much are they willing to pay, and how much of these things, how many times they have to use these insurance, claim for insurance, and things like that. So that I was able to simplify the interaction. So here I worked on a SaaS based application for Gallagher Bassett and a mobile application as well. Things were going fine with Pramati, but and career was going really good. But then what happened was, I got pregnant after 7 years of my marriage, and then this was a big opportunity for me, right? And when I had a very complicated pregnancy, so the company told me that you have to be on bed rest. So the hospital told me you have to be on bed rest. Otherwise we cannot guarantee anything. And when I went to Pramati and told them, it was just few months into this company. So obviously, when I told Pramati about this thing, they were like, we are a service-based company. We cannot give you work from home option. So that will not work with us. So there were challenges and ups and downs like these in many companies, right? You would have. So I was like really, but they said like, you can do one thing, you can go on loss of pay, and then, you can come back once you have your baby, and, we will keep your job safe and all of those things. But, like, always being on like the career side, and I was the higher earning member of the family, that always like was one more reason. I was worried, like what should I do, and how will I pay my bills, and the loans and all of those things. So every like financial thing started to worry me. And then that's when a miracle happened. I found like next day I found an inbox in my LinkedIn from the company called Mutual Mobile. And this company, this guy, he just messaged me like, we are setting up a UX practice in India, and will you be interested to join us? I was like, okay, there's no harm talking to him. So I spoke to him. And then when I spoke to Mutual Mobile, this guy was in Hyderabad, so I got to meet him in person, the CEO of the company. And then I told him like, well, I'm interested to join, but like I have this problem. I'm pregnant and I'm on bed rest, so I cannot be there in person. He's like, don't worry about it. I don't care where you are working from. Just help us set up the practice, and that's what I care about. And I was like, fine. And this again was an interesting story for me because so I said, okay, I'm interested to join. And he was like, you can work from home for as long as you want. I have no problem at all. And I said like, yeah, I'm ready to join. And he was like, okay. So within 1 hour, he arranged for my offer letter, and he arranged for my laptop and everything. And everything was in my hand. So I went on loss of pay with Pramati, and I started working with Pony Solutions from work from home. So, God arranged my finances and everything, and I was being paid the same salary I was getting at Pramati. So this was an interesting story. And then I started working with, this company. And then I worked on a lot of things with this company as well, a lot of mobile apps. So I would say like designing skills were getting stronger and stronger, working with different companies, different clients, and different, because the culture was different. Some were startups, some were big companies, some were, like established mid-sized company. The culture was different, the process was different. So as and when I was working, there were some glitches, but there were also some great learnings that I was learning about the processes and the companies, which kind of really helped me think about how people think, how processes work, and why it is important to have a process. So here with Mutual Mobile, I got to work on Google applications. I worked on a lot of Google. Google was one of the client, and then I got to work on Disney applications and Audi. So with all of these, my interest in automotive was getting more and more stronger because I worked with I worked on the Toyota shopping tool as well. So my interest for automotive was picking up, and I was like, this is a fascinating industry to be in. So once, with Mutual Mobile, my things were fine, and I helped them establish and set up their team. My son was born a couple of months later. I was like, okay, now I can go back to Pramati, and then I continued my tenure back in Pramati, and I left this company because the team was established, everything was done, and I'm like, now I can go back to Pramati because it was a great company to work for. Pramati was more user centered, they care about people, they care about process, so I really enjoyed working, so I went back to that company. And after that, I was with Pramati. I got an opportunity from Host Analytics, and I got an offer from them. I did not write their name here, but then I got an opportunity with Host Analytics, and they were pushing to join, and they waited 6 months after giving the offer. I was like, no, I don't want to. But finally what happened is they were pushing to make a decision. I was like, okay, I think I should make a decision, and I left Pramati and joined then. um, so when I joined Host Analytics 3 months into the company, they laid me off. Not only me, I was part of the other like 10% of new hires who were laid off because the new CEO came and restructured everything, and he was like, okay, we want to cut cost. So but what happened then was I was not worried because I already had an offer from Amazon. Like, I'm a passive job seeker, so I was just interviewing with Amazon. They just, I don't know, out of the blue, Amazon recruiter came and they were like, okay, we liked your profile, and I'm like, I don't even remember applying for Amazon. But then they somehow liked my profile and they interviewed me. I went through a couple of rounds, so I already had an offer in hand, and I was deciding whether or not to join them because again this required me to move to Bangalore. But then the moment Host Analytics laid me off, I had the offer, so I was like, okay, maybe I have to move now. So again I moved back to Bangalore through Amazon, and my husband was in India, and he used to commute weekends, so we had a lot of struggle that way for a year. And then with Amazon, I moved to Hyderabad back again through internal transfer. And 3 months into Bangalore, Hyderabad, Amazon Hyderabad, my husband was like, let's move to US. I was like, are you sure? Because I had a lot of opportunities even in the past, but he was not ready. He was like, I'm not going to leave Mother India, or I will not leave my parents. And the moment the words came from him that let's move to US, I was like, are you in your senses? And are you telling me this, with all your, agreement? And he was like, yes, I want to move to US. I was like, okay. Then I spoke to my manager in Amazon. I was like, I want to move to US. Okay. And that my manager was in US. Half of the team was in India. Half of the team was in Seattle already. So he was like, give me a few minutes, a few days, and I'll come back to you. Next day, he calls me and he's like, okay, we are ready to bring you here. I was like, okay, great. And then within a month, the day my manager approved, saying, yes, you will come here, within a month, it was a roller coaster of emotions, believe me. Within a month, my visa was approved, my transfer documents, my tickets, everything was done. So we had like a month to sell everything, pack everything, and then move to US. So it was a very difficult moment. My family was not completely ready. My mother was not ready. My father was not ready, and like my mother-in-law was not ready. So it was very difficult, like to convince them. And I was like, I'll come back in 5 years. But believe me, when someone goes to US, that 5 year never comes. So, but then, within a month, I moved to Seattle. And then, I got to work on a lot of great things when I was with Amazon. I got to work on Seller Central, and then I also got to work on, the Alexa. So this is how, I got into voice interactions. So I got to work on a lot of great things in this company. So it also opened up, the enterprise world for me, because I started looking at, not just the consumer focused applications, but also the enterprise focused applications here. So which was really interesting. And, I saw how complex enterprise world could be, and, how the interactions could be. So it was all interesting. It was all going fine. Um, you know, but finally, there's a long story. I will not get into all of those. If you're interested, you can definitely read this, my book. But then,
Yes, yes.
definitely. But then basically, what happened was, I got an opportunity from another company, and they were willing to do my H1B, and, I got the H1B visa. Usually when someone, and I went to Amazon through L visa, L1B. So, I was intra-company transfer. So I was only allowed to work for Amazon, no other company. But then what happened was, there were some issues going on in the company and all. So I finally got another company who can do H1B. And usually H1B, for many people would be like a couple of years of attempt, but my visa was picked, my application was picked the same year in the lottery, and I got an H1B. So then I moved to another company. I left Amazon because the politics, the culture is very brutal. It's a big brand for sure. But this was not my dream company. This was a forced company. If Host Analytics would not have laid me off, I would have never joined Amazon for sure. So I worked 3 years with Amazon, and I was like, great, this is awesome. I learned a lot of great things. I learned about voice interactions and all of these things. So finally, I joined another company called VoiceBox. This was completely into voice technologies. Very small startup, a family owned business, 250 employees, one of the best companies to work for. And things were going great here as well. I got to work on a lot of different things. I designed voice interactions for cars, smartphones, and the smart speakers. So we had a white label solution again in this company, where they had a smart speaker which was white labeled, so any company can just use their brand and use it. Then we worked on Samsung Bixby mobile application, and I worked with a lot of automotive OEM, like Nissan or Hyundai, also Lucid Motors, to design their voice interactions. So one thing which was common throughout is I got to work with a lot of different clients in the automotive sector. So my interest for automotive was picking more than anything else. I was like really fascinated about automotive and the interactions within the car, because that was a different world altogether. When you create interactions for websites or mobile application, the context is different, of course, but then the interactions are very different. Like you are sitting, you are at peace, and then you are interacting, versus in the car, when you are driving, you are distracted, and then you have interactions, that has to be as simple as possible. You don't want to have too many distractions and complications. And there are a lot of legal and safety regulations with these industries. So of course, I was always fascinated, because I always believed, your best work will come when you are put into restrictions, so, or constraints. So I always believe, in inspiration within constraints. So that is why, automotive always fascinated me. So I worked with VoiceBox for some time. And then this company was actually, doing really hard with finances. It was a startup, family owned. They were not able to get funding. So again, with this company, I was laid off in the morning, and then I was reinstated back in the evening, along with 70% of other staff who was laid off. I was the only one who was reinstated back. But then, again, they realized, like, okay, they needed my skill set, so they moved me back. They were like, okay, no, we cannot do it. But then the company told me, like, well, you know what, we need your skill set, but we cannot actually uh, you know, lose you, and we don't have money to pay enough. So, we can only pay you half salary. So for me, it was a moment of do or die kind of thing, because if I didn't have a job with this company, I will have to move back to my country, right? Not that, moving back to my country is difficult. I have the skill sets to do that. But the biggest challenge was, like throughout this, my husband did a lot of sacrifices in his career. He left his job many times to support me. So, I felt like, this is not the right thing. So, but we decided like we'll continue with this company with half salary. Okay. It was difficult in US for sure, given how things work, just working with half salary and managing the finances and everything was difficult. But then what kept me motivated was, the kind of great products and the exposure this country has given me was great. And I was really, like looking forward. And they were like, we will support you till you get another job, right? We will be here for you. And they kept, like my position. And, literally I used to go to office and apply for jobs and just do that, like interviews. And they were like, we will keep your position and we'll continue paying you salary and we'll continue your visa status, throughout. And the company supported me a lot. Then my husband one day was sitting and applying for as many jobs as possible for me. So he would apply at every portal, he would email every company. So he would have almost applied for like 1,000+ companies. And believe me, like, every company which came back to me with, an interview, I had an offer with. So it was like an interesting thing for me because, like every company who reached out, I had Google, I had 24 by 7, I had Bose, and I had Ford, and I had like Verizon and Veritas. I had like many companies. I had like all of these companies, and all the companies I interviewed with, I had like offer with the companies who proceeded further with me. Now it was a choice whether to continue with Google or continue with 24/7 or Ford. And this is where, I was like, okay, I don't want to get into the same culture of Amazon. So, and with Google, I felt like it will be more of, like another similar politics. And since my interest was always in automotive, given I worked with so many auto clients, for different products, I decided to join Ford. And that was one of the best decisions of my life, I would say, one of the best companies to work for sure. I mean, definitely, I feel like I should retire only from this company. That's the kind of company it is. The best company, best people-centric company, not like, other companies I have worked with. They care for their people, they care for their employees. So then I joined this company, which is my current company. So I got to work on a lot of great projects here. I worked on Sync 4 voice experiences. I worked on over-the-air updates, and I worked on owner's manual for the vehicle. So I got to work on a lot of great, HMI features, the human machine interface features. But voice has been my prominent, interest, passion, and skill sets or strength, I would say. And then, so I got an opportunity to take an internal transfer and pick up another position called product owner, digital assistant. So what I'm doing with Ford now is I lead the autonomous digital assistant, driverless cars, and the voice interactions for driverless cars here. So yeah, this is what I've been doing here at Ford, and I'm enjoying. So I'm doing the now, near, and far. I get to test the driverless vehicles where there's no one and the vehicle is moving by itself, and then test to see how users feel about it, what is their inhibitions. So it's really great because it's more user centered here than any other company, and in true sense they follow user centered. So we get to do a lot of things here, like we get to do user testing, simulations, like, and all sorts of testing. So we believe in testing a lot more in this company. And then of course we get to, like test drive the autonomous vehicle, which is another interesting thing and fascinating by itself. So that's about me. And some of the things I mentioned, plus there were other things. I have put all of my thoughts in my book called Close Calls. which I'm launching this week. I mean, Tuesday. So if you are interested, you can join. You can purchase it from Amazon, or you can join the virtual launch if you want to learn more about the stories along the way. And then I'm also writing another book called Emotionally Engaged Digital Assistant, which is mostly about voice assistants. So that is also coming this year. So yeah, keep a watch on that as well. And then if you want to keep connected with me, then you can definitely, like I'm very active on LinkedIn and I'm not as active on Twitter, but yeah, you can definitely follow me here as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great session. I'm audible.
Yeah,
Uh,
you are audible. Yeah.
there is an
Okay.
echo.
So yeah, thank you, Samala. It's a great session. Like it's a very inspiration session. Like from a Jabalpur city, like underdeveloped the small town to the that food company. It's a long journey, and for the new attendees, newcomers in our community, and like other communities, it's a very interesting story. Like it's not about the education and all this, but how you passionate about. That's the more what I take out from this whole session. What you are passionate about, you constantly do that thing, and you will get a result kind of thing. So it's a very inspiration, and I really like the session that the growth will start with the India context, then you slowly connect to the US, and at the end you are still now in the US or like that. So it's very nice session. So for new attendees, yeah, so we start the QA session right now. So before that, Kailash, you want to say something or start the QA?
It was an insightful journey kind of thing. Means from Jabalpur to Seattle, I can say. If anybody, any attendee or joining have questions, you can ask to Shyamala. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions, and he will be very helpful to answer. Anybody?
Uh, Hello.
Hi, man.
Yeah, hi. Hi, ma'am. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Ma'am, I'm an automobile engineer looking into transition in the design industry. So, I've started design since 2 months, and I am planning to make a case study based on voice interface. So, as you have mentioned that there are some safety guidelines and legal issues. So, do you think a student can work on a case study of that, or if not, where can he start with voice interface?
Yeah, no. Students can definitely do that. You are not restricted by, anything. I would say, case studies. The only thing is you will need to talk to people. You
Samala,
need to, yeah.
Samala, sorry to interrupt you. Mayank, can you open switch on your video? It's more interactive. You switch on your video, and anybody can ask. You can switch on your video and then ask. It will be more interactive to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Samala, please go ahead, sir.
Sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, what I'm saying is, like definitely you can do that. Because see, voice is a picking industry, and in the automotive industry, I would say it becomes a necessity now more than anything. Regulations are different country by country. Like India, we don't care as much about it. We are distracted driving all the time, and it works because the traffic here is, like also the same. So you're not like really going in 80, 90 miles per hour speed, right? But with other countries, it's different. And then every country has their own regulations. So this will not only be a good case study for you to design for voice in automotive, but also, will help you learn about all the different challenges or regulations around the world, and what needs to be thought about. And it's really nice, I would say, because it's going to open your perspective into not just a certain region, but how others in the world is looking at this. And then you can design a solution or think about voice interactions, which kind of works for like everyone. Because you know in the voice interactions, it's not just about dialogue, right? You said something and the assistant responded back. It's all about the context. It's also about, the user's needs and what they need at that moment. And then also about regulations. How do we show things on the screen? And, how much cognitive load can we put on the user? So there's too many things which you can, tap into with this thing.
Oh, okay. Ma'am, like I have zero knowledge about voice interface, so if I had to start from somewhere, like getting the resource and knowledge, what do you suggest me to do?
See, the first place to start is, just Google for voice interactions.
Oh,
Google itself and Amazon itself have, some basic guidelines, like into
okay.
voice interaction design and how they work, what kind of tools and, like things like that, right? And it also has some best practices designing for voice. That will be your first step,
Okay.
there are very few courses out there at this point, right, for voice interactions. Not so it's similar to what or how it was many years back. One or
Okay.
two companies are there, and they feel like they are the leaders, and you don't get anything out of those courses, honestly. I mean, I've been mentoring for those courses, so I know how it is. What I
Okay.
would say is your best place would be YouTube videos. Look at YouTube videos, conversational design, voice interaction design, how voice works, and things like that. And then also a lot of blogs are there where you will get a lot of good resources. One good place I would say is there are books called Conversational Design or Voice Interaction Design by Kathy Pearl. So look at those kind of books. Those will be really helpful to start with.
Okay, sure, ma'am. And the other doubt is like if I have to enter into UX as a UX designer in any automobile firm, so should my projects all be related to automobile or can I have any other field also?
You can have, it's not like that. See, depending on what you want to do in automotive, there are a couple of things, right?
Okay.
I'm assuming when you talk about user experience design, you're talking about the interactions. So every automotive company has HMI, like human machine interfaces, right?
Yeah.
The screens which you see in the center stacks.
Yeah.
So if you are designing for application, it doesn't matter whether you come from a different background. What is important is, how much of UX do you understand, or how much of, interactions do you understand? That matters a lot more. Because
Okay.
honestly, I worked on automotive applications, but I did not work on center stack anyway, right? Until I started working on voice interactions.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
doesn't matter as much. I mean, people care about your voice interact, your UX experience more than your domain experience. I got to tap on different industries: insurance, finance, banking, and retail, and entertainment, and automotive. But none of these were, I was not in a certain industry all the time. I've been like working on different, because you are able to bring a lot of great perspective if you worked on different industries.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that's it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, thank Mayank. Thanks, Shamla. So any other one? Anyone else?
Anybody else? Anybody else? Hello.
Uh, anyone else is any question right now? Okay, one question from my side, Kamla. So right now that current pandemic is going on, so it's affect so many industries right now. And as a new like uh, what, in what perspective you see, like what kind of industry or what kind of like as a we are the designer and these things. So how we look at it and how this can be more. In future we don't know what situation is over, so what kind of industry right now more meaningful to that those who are coming to new to the industry right now. So this is more of a, like all of us, but question is so
So, if I understand the question correctly, it's like, the industries are not stable because of the COVID, so there's risk of jobs and things like that. So, you're
correct,
talking from
correct.
that perspective, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would say, like, see, every industry is impacted. Like, I was under the impression, like when the 2009 recession was hit, that the food industry was the least impacted. That's what my assumption was, that like no matter what, people will want to eat food, right? Will go out and eat food. So every industry can be impacted, but not food. But that is also wrong, because the pandemic has proved now people want to eat like homemade food more than going out, because of the risk of COVID. And of course, those kind of things are there. So I would say at this point, every industry has a problem. Every industry is, like no industry is, secured enough. Travel, automotive is still better now, because I mean, if you look at, I don't know about how it is in India right now, but if you look at, like here we have subway trains, we have ride and share, and all of those kind of things as well. And then many people, like use those than owning a car. With the pandemic, now people are little skeptical to, like use ride and share like Uber or Lyft. So now they are
Yes.
wanting to own a car. So our sales have increased, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like depends on the demand and supply kind of thing, like which market you are tapping into or things like that. Food definitely has, like dulled down, but then I feel like, like online learning will boom, because now no one is going anywhere, they have time, so people are more open to learning things online, right? And are
Yeah.
willing to spend some time to learn new skill sets, so that they can be future ready, or gain some new skill sets. So edtechs are a good place. If you're looking, edtech could be a good place to look at, because education is something, no matter where you are or what you are going through, you would still, even if someone is laid off, they would want to learn something, because they want to learn new skills to make them future ready, or like cope up with things. So this industry will always, e-learning, edtech will always be booming, I would say. Yeah. Other
Yeah.
industries, no one is going to travel, or insurance is, and all of these things also, I don't think, as much. So more than anything, don't limit yourself, or don't, like think about it from an industry perspective. Like this industry is good or that industry is good. What I believe is, if you have the right skill sets, no matter which industry is open to, you will get it.
Sure.
So rather than focusing on industry, I would say focus on the skill sets.
Yeah. Thanks.
you. Thank you. Shyamala, I have a question. Means you said initially you designed for the consumer centric, and later you transformed yourself to for the designing for the enterprises. Means how you see the difference, because at the end of the thing, the consumer or the user is the at the end, but how it differ from the designer's perspective to design for the enterprise, and for the user centric design, means when you are designing directly for the consumers or the users.
It's very different. Consumers think in a different way, right? So, for example, Facebook is a consumer application, right? Or let's take, for example, Amazon.com is a consumer application, right? Where you are looking through a product and adding it to the cart, selling, purchasing it, and all. So your thought process will be different, your needs will be different. You are doing something which is like, maybe you're going from A to Z, right? And there is a structure. There could be only n number of ways you can achieve that thing. So your interactions for consumers is very preset, like two or three different ways. Either the user will browse, or they will search, or they will look through, like some other recommendations and add it to cart. And once it goes to the cart, it's pretty much the same, that, like you check out, and then, like you proceed. So with consumer centric, it's like that. Your interactions are very, like two or three things. So it's easy to test, and it's easy to find consumers to test with, because most of us are consumers of these products. So, you can talk to your friends and families and, get these things. Enterprise applications, on the other hand, is complex products. For example, document management system,
Mhm.
or not for you or for me, but it could be for an enterprise where, like for example, Ford is storing their entire documents, so there's a policy of retrieval, there's a policy of, deletion and, like those kind of things. But then you also have to upload it. Or you also have to manage the document with some categories, some tags, and some teams. Like Ford has like what 100, 150 different teams and organizations within it. AV is an organization, finance, HR, legal, design, right? And then, like we have powertrain team. We have, so there could be like many, right? So every team will have their own set of things. So when it comes to consumer, things are more, when it comes to enterprise, it's more complex interactions, more complex. It's more data driven. You may have a lot more data in there which you have to show. It's not like, showing a list of product and their reviews and all of those things, but you have to show like maybe tables which is worth of information. Like you have 10,000 columns and, like 50, 60 rows. Sorry, 50, 60 columns and 10,000 rows, right? If you have to show that information, what is the meaningful way? How then all the things like thinking about pagination, thinking about search, thinking about how someone will look for that information, how will they retrieve it, how will they edit it, all of those becomes important. So with consumer products, it's way more complex and your consumers could be different. For example, document management system for Ford is very simple. I worked on a seller central where, like what you see on amazon.com is very straightforward, right? You see a product and you're like, I want to add it to my cart and all of these things, but in the back end there are like 100,000 sellers who are uploading their catalog,
Mhm.
right? And the catalog management system or the system through which you are uploading all of these things are very complex. So again, you have to think about all the different industries. Every person does not have the same skill sets or same expertise. Some may be tech savvy, some may not be. So how are you designing for those? So with enterprise, it becomes more like, for a person who's not tech savvy, how will you show them like this is the simplest way to upload your product and add details to it?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody, if you have any questions, we can go with it, or we can end the session here. Yes, yes, Devdat. You can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Hi. Hi. My name is Devbroto. I am calling from Kolkata.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. So I attended the seminar. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Much motivated from your journey. So my question is that I'm working as a graphic designer for around 7 to 8 years, and now as I was sorry, there was so much noise.
Just a second, actually today is Ganesh Chaturthi. My son and husband, they are preparing for the
Oh,
puja. So
Oh, all right.
that is why my son has this
uh,
bill and he is like, it is the first
Ganti,
time he
Ganti.
will be doing the puja today. So he's super excited.
Oh, all right, all right. No worries.
Yes.
No issues.
I will
So,
mute you, ask your question, and then I will unmute myself.
Sure. Sure.
all right, all right. Thank you. My question is that I'm pursuing as a graphic designer for around 7 to 8 years, and now I'm interested to switch my profile from graphic designer to UI UX designer. So in that case, and I'm now 30 years old. So on that case, I'm just keen to know that am I able to, or am is there any company who can accept me like this without any knowledge, as because I have zero knowledge. I have a basic knowledge of HTML and CSS. That's it, and I'm just enrolled with Instruction Foundation, and that much. That's on July 20. So that much I do have.
Yeah.
So how
So
can?
see,
Devabrata, can you switch on your video, Devabrata, please?
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Just give me a minute, please.
So
No issue.
what I would say, yeah, what I would say is,
All right.
like honestly, age doesn't matter. I mean, it's not about age, right? When it comes to And I've seen like even India is opening up a lot more now. It's not that it was many years back when I was there. You're like, okay, how can a person this age be doing this, or why a woman is leading? So that mindset has changed in India now for everything, age, gender, or stereotypes, I would say. So that's not the case anymore. But you're a graphic designer, you know the colors and all of those things. User experience is different, user interface is different. First of all, be clear on what you want to do. Do you want to design interactions or do you want to develop interactions? If you want to design the interactions, then what is important is thinking about like the user experience. Without process, without knowledge, no company will take you. But it's not because of age, right? So learn those skill sets, create some capstones. If you are able to find a volunteering company, just try to volunteer and create some projects for them, so that way you will build up more experience. And once you have the experience, like you can always your graphic design background can come handy, because then you can easily switch that to visual design, because that is one of the domains in user experience. So you can say I'm a strong visual designer. So your whatever experience you have will become a bonus to your UX processes.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you,
Ma'am,
Dharma.
I have the last question. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, ma'am, since you're working in a automotive company, so you must be having a team of interior designers. I mean, like, I am interested in the field of interior designing, like, conceptualizing the interiors of the car. So, how do you think that will, I mean, having that skill set or a degree in that field would leverage me to get into UX?
See, so interior designing is different and UX is different, but some commonalities I would say is you still can apply the user-centered design approach to everything and anything, right? When you're
Yeah.
designing the interior, you can test it with the users. Will they like this kind of seat? Will they like this kind of recline? Will they, like this kind of aesthetics, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
you can apply UX to any industry or any field. It's not limited to interface design.
Okay. I mean, while you're working in your team, does your team also have interior designers working along with you? I mean, since
Yeah,
you're
I have a lot of interior designers are there, because and we have designers who sketch the cars exterior, interior, and within the interior, every vehicle we have a different kind of experience, right? So we have a really big team here who does that,
okay.
and we work like vehicle line on model by model basis.
Okay.
So, and depending on, like we have like within the interior, we have like different people who design the dashboard, different people who design the seats, different people who design the doors and windows and the trunk and all of those things. So not there's no like one person who does that. Every person is
Okay.
different, but we try to test them out. So when they are doing that, they are not just designing, they are also thinking about the interactions for those. Like, nowadays you can open the trunk with your sensors. You don't have to press a button. You can
Yeah.
just, like keep your leg near the trunk and it automatically opens.
Yeah.
Or doors these days are, like more sensor based kind of things, or key fob or pin based, where you can just enter a pin and it opens the door. So you don't need a key. So, you can be creative even in that industry to think about how interactions can work. So it's not like HMI, like press a button, go there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Mank. Anybody, if I have questions, or we are good to end the session.
Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn, so you can send me a message there if you
Mm,
want. That should be fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
anybody
uh,
can? Yes,
yeah.
Kailash, go ahead.
Yeah. I would like to ask Shyamala if she could share the links that she talked about, and about the books that or that the event to join the event, so that
Yeah,
if any for us, it will be easier for us to connect on Tuesday to have the to be with you again.
yeah, Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely share that with you. So, yeah, I will email you. You can cascade it to
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, sure, sure,
I'll have
Yeah,
to, open the link, but I will email you guys so you can take
sure,
it forward
sure,
from there.
sure.
And
That's
yeah, the book is available in India, but not in print right now. The book is available in ebook format in India. I'm trying to find someone who can distribute the books. But in other locales, you can either get an ebook version of it or you can get a print version of it. And if you guys are interested, we can definitely arrange for shipping from here to India as well, if you want a print book. So.
okay. Sure.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
Thank you. So, sure, we'll check and we'll let. So, I think we already covered all this, and yeah, thanks for this session, Samla. Again, it's a Ganesh Chaturthi. I think your son is waiting for you
Yeah.
for his. So thanks to join in this day. Yeah, again, it's a very motivational session as I mentioned before. And yes, so those who have any question or anything, you can reach out to her very friendly, and we'll obviously get back to you if you have any question. And after write this, we'll share the video link and any details we'll share to the attendees. So thanks for this session to all attendees, and thanks, Kamala. And again, happy Ganesh Chaturthi, Kamala.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. You guys
Enjoy
have a
your
good weekend. So,
yes. Thank you, everyone.
thank
So
you.
we are closing this session, and yeah, so Kailash can close the
Yeah.
session right now.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Shyamla.
thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.